Right, you are on the platform. I'm Sean Plunket. We're live. It's Friday. We've got tons of good stuff coming. We've got our first platinum member taking part in Free Speech Fridays. His name's Shane Hodge. He's a Wellington businessman, and he'll join Maurice Williamson and myself at 8:30 to chew over the events of the week. Don't forget, you can become a platform platinum member. $5,000 to transferable memberships to Platinum, to Platform Plus, and four exclusive functions a year for Platform Platinum and Gold members. Gold members, by the way, $2,000, one free membership, and two functions a year for Gold members. And we've had uptake on this. But also, of course, the Platinum members, they get once a year to come on and take part in Free Speech Fridays. Okay, we've got our next guest ready, and let's do the back. You may have caught in the mainstream media this week a great flurry of excitement as they do another sort of ad hominem attack on David Seymour, that David Seymour had asked officials to look at the impacts of unmandating, that'll get all my cooker friends up in arms, unmandating cycle helmets. You know, those silly pieces of plastic that look useless that you wear on your head, or you're meant to wear on your head when you ride your bike. And back in my days on the Rally 20 or the Chopper, we just had long hair and hang handlebars, and we didn't need a helmet. If you fell off, that was your stupid fault. But he did it, and the fact that he'd done it seemed to have the liberal left-wing mainstream media in an absolute frenzy. And it went away after a day or so. Supposedly, the officials came back and said it wouldn't make much difference or whatever, and he decided not to do it. But I was interested to see one of the smartest guys I know have a look at the issue online and say maybe Seymour was onto something. Maybe mandated cycle helmets. And I know he's a guy who's had a cycle crash or two as well. Maybe we should get an expert to talk about this. So we're joined by Eric Crampton from the New Zealand Initiative. You have had a couple of major off-cycling, haven't you, Eric?
I wasn't cycling. It was on e-scooter. I was going reasonable speed and wound up breaking the neck of my femur. So the helmet didn't really help with the femur that much, and I didn't bash my head or the helmet when I tumbled trying to avoid.
But you're a cyclist, right?
Actually, no.
Not anymore.
No, I rarely cycle.
Okay.
No, I've never really been much of a cyclist. I did it for exercise when I was in grad school. There were some good trails around where I went to school and where I lived at the time. But Kendall is awfully hilly, and I don't like going up and down hills.
All right. So, Eric, you've had a look, though, at this idea, and I guess you've measured, have you, the benefits of the cycle helmet mandate? What have you found?
Well, I have looked at the literature on this, and this is something that has come up, for decades, really. So in economics, we worry about this to a little, there's something that's called the Peltzman effect, and I'll explain what that is. So it usually comes up when you're looking at automobile safety regulation or seatbelt mandates. The general idea is the measure can make you safer, but because you're safer, you take more risks. And if you take more risks, then it's harder to tell what the net effect is, right? So the helmet makes you feel safer. You might ride a little bit closer to traffic than you otherwise would have.
You might ride faster.
Yeah,
I get you.
So there's that kind of an effect. There's also the effect of helmets on cycling at all. So a lot of people, some people will just scoff at it. But if you wear a helmet, you've messed up your hair, you have to redo it when you get to work.
See, Winston Peters would never ride a bike for that reason. You'd never see Winston Peters in a cycle helmet.
Yeah. And it can be a pain, too, if you're looking to rent one of the bicycles that are just around town where you open up the app on your phone, you rent the bike for a period of time, and you ride around. Well, if you don't have a helmet with you and they decide to ding you for that, well, that's a pain. So there can be all of these offsetting effects that you have to take all of them into account to try and figure out whether the helmets on net are really all that beneficial. So Seymour was certainly right to ask the ministry to have a look at this, because there's no reason to believe that anybody was thinking about this properly when the mandate came in. There's also been a pretty substantial decrease in cycling rates since the mandate came in. There's a lot of argument about causality in that. Some people say that it was declining previously, and then they'll put up all of the arguments around, well, we need to have lots more cycleways, and that's the problem, or cars are just too nasty and we need to ban cars, and that's how you get more cycling. Really, though, it looks like the helmets did help decrease cycling rates. So that's a problem.
So what rates? Rates of fatality or injury?
Oh, no, sorry, I'll be more precise. If you are wearing a helmet, you are far less likely to be injured, conditional on getting into an accident. However, fewer people cycle when there are mandates to wear helmets. You can also worry that the kinds of people who would be inclined to wear a helmet in the absence of a mandate are different from the kinds of people who wouldn't want to wear a helmet.
They're like that guy, Mark Dowder, at the press gallery, who still wears a mask.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I'm not doing that currently. I do keep an eye on the COVID rates, though. So if things get spiky, then
I just want to pick you up on one thing. Are you telling me cycling rates in New Zealand are declining?
Cycling rates are lower than they were. So they came down after the cycling mandate came in. So there's a couple of pieces arguing about this in the New Zealand Medical Journal in the past few years. One of them from a cycling advocate asserting that it's been something on the order of like having the rate of cycling, and with he was arguing about 50 more deaths per year.
I'm gobsmacked, Eric, because I thought my city was spending millions and millions of dollars, and for the last 3 years, I live on a road that has been having a massive piece of Evans Bay Parade that has had a massive piece of cycleway infrastructure built. Yeah. Are you telling me that is being built for a declining trend of cycling?
The studies were looking at the change in the helmet laws. So this was a long time ago now. So it was in the 1990s. So it dropped at that period, getting more cycleways and the like. That will increase cycling rates, but we're looking just at the helmet laws, right? So that piece was arguing that the decline in cycling because of the helmet laws is you get health benefits if you're bicycling, and he was arguing that it's something like 50 more deaths per year because of the loss of health benefits from cycling. So some people will die because they're not wearing a helmet and they get into an accident. Other people die if they're not cycling because they don't want to wear a helmet. This one was arguing that it's something like 50 deaths a year on net increase because of the helmet mandate. There has been substantial critique of that work, though, saying that it wasn't causal evidence. Overall, the net effects of helmet mandates are really ambiguous because of this effect on discouraging people from cycling in the first place, and because people will take more risks. It's something that is worth investigating, and what disappointed me from the Ministry of Regulation, at least as it was reported in the New Zealand Herald — I've not gotten an OIA for the documents that the Herald got — they were talking about how, well, there's been this big reduction in injury rates for cyclists. Well, that's great and all, but they were looking at the numbers of injuries, not at the rate per 100 kilometers traveled, for example, right?
Yeah.
So you had this drop in the number of the kilometers traveled by bicycle, this drop in injuries per cyclist, but it wasn't looking at, or at least if it was in the underlying documents, it wasn't reported in the Herald.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think
both of them together.
I think, well, look, Holland, home of cycling.